January was full of so many great reads. I thought about slowing down because I had so much stuff to do, friends. But alas, you all asked for a monthly recap, and I may have gone a little crazy because I'm now part of two, actually one book club. I said I was going to tone down my reading for this year so that I can make time for the other things like writing my own book and things too. But I read 9 books, and most of them were absolutely amazing. And you all have been asking for monthly recaps again. So I am back, friends. I am listening to what your requests are, and I have a lot of thought-provoking books that I read this month that I really, really want to talk about. So I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. I'm going to harp on some of the ones that I really, really loved. And there are author interviews coming too, friends. So be on the lookout for that. If you have not subscribed, you're going to want to so you don't miss those. Let's start with the first one because it is January. It's a new year. And so I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to do this book that is kind of right up in that alley. And my cat is about to jump in my lap and I am wearing shorts and I do not want to get scratched. So I'm going to take him outside. Say hi, please. Say bye, please. I realize my hair is a complete mess too, so we'll put that up. But the first one was called You Can't Take It With You, Foolproof Techniques for Tidying Up Like There's No Tomorrow by Messy Kondo. So I didn't do my research on who this person is. Is the Kondo is just like by happen chance with like Marie Kondo. But anyway, it's a very short book and there's nothing earth shattering about what is talked about in this book. But a lot of it is you just cannot take it with you. Obviously, the name of the title or the title. And people aren't going to want your stuff. You might be thinking, oh, I'm going to save this for my great grandchildren because whatever that reason is. Friends, you don't know if they're going to want it. Plus, if they don't want it, you're just giving them crap that they have to deal with. You're kicking the can down the road. So just take care of it. And I have this whole decluttering thing that I am talking about on the This Japanese American Life channel. So if you are not subscribed over there, I talk about all things not books in my life over there. So check that out. You are always, always welcome in both of my places and all the places I am online. But decluttering has been a huge thing in our house. I started January with decluttering 500 things and I've learned so much. So I shared about that. And this book was a great short thing, reminders of why we just do not need to keep the things that we think are so nostalgic or we'll need it someday or when we lose that weight or whatever our excuse is. We don't need it, friends. Let's get rid of it. If you have to buy it again, so be it. The next book I read, because it was a book club pick for my very first in-person book club with people that I didn't know. And I've been part of book clubs where I'm just talking with friends. Anyway, was The Measure by Nikki Ehrlich. And it was not even on my radar of books to read. I had heard about it maybe before, but it wasn't like oh, okay, I'm going to go read that right now. But it was picked for a Read with Jenna book club and all these other things, New York Times bestseller. I am so glad I read it. And the premise is that everybody that is an adult, 22 and above, one day receives this box that when you open it, there is a string that equals the measure of your life or the length of your life. So by opening and looking at the string, you're going to know how short or how long your life is. And there's a lot of stuff that comes with whether your life is short string or long string. And would you look at it? Would you not look at it? Are you forced to look at it? Are you not? All of these things, following different people's stories. Oh, there is so much there to unpack. I loved it so much. A lot of my book clubbers were kind of on the fence about it or in the middle. Nobody hated it, but you guys, I absolutely loved it. I reached out to Nikki over Instagram and said, I loved it. Would you want to have a conversation with me on my YouTube/podcast? So if you have not seen it, head there. It was such an honor to speak with her and talk through her thought process. And the second book of hers, because that was her debut book, can you believe it? It was so great. And then The Poppy Fields was her second book. And that one is another thought-provoking book about grief. And the premise for that is if you could sleep away at this special sleep center, that grief, where you sleep for a month, 2 months, whatever that time is, and you wake up without that life changing, life halting grief with potentially the chance that you might not be as emotionally attached or feel that same intensity of love towards that other person or that other event that caused that grief, would you do it? So that is the premise. And again, we follow different stories, different lives. And I love the fact that all of these are touching on such big relationships in our life. It is not just a romance. It is not romantic love. It is sibling love. It is parent love. It is friend love. It is how you interact with strangers. There is so much coverage of humanity and getting back in touch with the humanity that I think is so very much needed at this point in time, in this country, in this world. So gosh, I have nothing but great things to say about these. And if you have not checked out my interview with Nikki, you have to go check it out because you'll love her and you'll love these books. Another book I read that had this kind of magicalism to a reality was One and Only by Maureen Gu, and I was privileged to read the ARC, that's advanced reader copy. And the premise here is that there's this family, this Korean family that has this special ability to find people's one and only love. And they can identify the person, they can match you with that person. One of the people in this family, the main character, she cannot find that one love, but then she finds someone that she really cares for, really connects with. But it turns out that knowing that person then introduces her to the name that she knows is her one and only. And so it is this unfolding of, is there really a one and only? What is the right path to take? It was a lot of emotional agony on my part because I had different feelings and I don't want to spoil it for you. So if you want a spoiler filled review / discussion, let me know in the comments. But it definitely makes you think about, is there really a one and only person for your life? Is it a person in that time? Is it enough to hold out? It is so interesting because it kind of gets to the same questions that I thought about in the measure of, would you want to know? Would you want to know? Because by knowing, that puts a lot of things in your head of how you act, how you do not be vulnerable with people, how you avoid situations. Like if this person knows that their soulmate, they have that name and they meet all these other people that they connect with and they do really well with, would you let that go? I was rooting for a specific person. There were things that she connected really well with both of them, but you knew, or at least I knew, there was a specific person that she was meant to be with. And it is a fascinating look at also family dynamics because there is this Asian cultural dynamic that plays into it. There are betrayals. Part of it had a trope that I did not particularly like, which is why it was not a 5-star for me. It was only 4-star. I still really enjoyed it because I love these mixes of magical aspects with a reality of life and making you think about the big hard topics of life of what would you do and would you want to know. I read a Romantasy book that has been all the rage, which is Direbound by Sable Sorensen. And I did not love it. I wanted to love it. I would read the rest of the series. It's a trilogy. As I was reading it, I could not get the other stories that I have read out of my head because it just felt like a blending of all the other things that I have read. And I know it is really hard to make a book that does not have the same patterns or tropes or magical aspects or types of characters as other books, but this just felt like a lot of the books I have loved kind of blending into one and just becoming different names or different animals. This one has wolves, but I thought of dragons. I had Fourth Wing on my mind. I had Powerless. I had all these other ones in my mind. And I know people are saying Powerless is also taking away from all these other things too. You guys, I get it. There is a lot of overlap in these. I just felt like it wasn't completely new, and I did not connect with the characters as much as I have with other stories. So this one was just a 3 star for me, which isn't bad. I would read the rest of them. Like I said, it just wasn't my, oh my gosh, I'm so obsessed with it, I need to buy it in hardback or paperback to have on my shelf. I need to annotate it. I need to talk about people or talk to people about it. It just wasn't that, and that's okay. There's something for everyone. This just wasn't a favorite for me. Every Day I Read was an ARC I received, and it is by the author of the Hunam Dong Bookshelf, which I absolutely loved. And this one is more of a ode to book lovers, really, of how we can read in different ways to make sure that we read every day and why it's important to do so. And there's things like read classics, or, read poetry, or write down quotes. They're in very short chapters, digestible. You can read it in a few minutes. This one says Joy of Collecting Quotes, book clubs, read to seek answers. There's just a lot of fun ways to connect with books that it reminds you of. And I absolutely tabbed some of the things that I really liked that we get out of books, because one of the things it says, read books that resonate, read books that remind you of who you want to be. That's why we read, right? We read for perspectives. We read for learning about other people and how things can be improved. And that is absolutely a great reminder. So while it was a little bit slow to start for me, I ended up really liking it and recommend just reminding yourself why you read. And even if it's 1 page a day or you read a whole book a day, it is different in different seasons, and that's absolutely okay. If you want to just read bestsellers, have at it. But maybe it's just a reminder, maybe you want to sprinkle some other stuff in. Maybe some stuff that you normally don't read. Maybe you want to read from other countries. Maybe you want to read from people different than yourselves, because it just opens your mind to so many different worlds and so many different ways of thinking, which again, we definitely need that at this point in time. Of course, I love romances, so I read my fair share of romances as well, and I have author interviews on these, so I was catching up on some of these arcs. So Aletha Romig, I interviewed her. I had the privilege of doing that. So I read 2 of her books, Silver Lining, because she's been known more for her thriller or suspense type books, and with a romance thrown in there. So Silver Lining was a standalone of it because I could not get into consequences. I had so many trigger warnings that just paused me from reading them. Plus it's 5 books. So it just is a lot heavier lift for me to get into it, especially the first book of reading of hers. So I started with Silver Lining, and then I received Intercepted, which is her newest book that is part of the Cooper series. It is a sports romance. It's a football romance. It's the first that she's doing a sports romance. So that was really fun, right in time for the Super Bowl and this playoff time. And it's just fun. And yet it still has deeper roots of getting to a woman, a strong woman leader, and the things that she faces, as well as it's a second chance romance. And you're looking at a veteran quarterback and what they're going through as part of their career and what they want, and realizing some of these things about what they want and how timing can be really, really good for people, even though it kind of sucks at the time. But sometimes you're just meant to be apart, and then you find each other at the right time. So it is their journey, but it is a 4-book series. All of them are going to be out this year, but book 1 is out now, and I enjoyed it. I also get to interview Max Monroe. So you need to really go check out these author chats. They're amazing. You get to see a lot more about the authors. You get to learn basically behind the scenes, right, of what goes into these and how people think. I love getting to know the authors behind these books. So the 15-minute rule is the Dixon University series. So you're seeing college kids, and these families are crazy, and these people come from money. So for me, it was a little bit out of touch of where I was, obviously, and how I would react to different things, but it was fun. So if you're looking for fun, they write spicy rom-com, and Call Me Anytime was a book that I absolutely loved from them. And so that really got me started on the journey with them, because they are a writing duo, which is always fascinating to me when people write together. I want to know how it works and how they balance all the things, because they're both moms of young children as well. So here on Whole Wellness Mamas, we talk about all those things of balancing and finding the joys that really light you up, that is outside of your role as a mother, because we should all be finding those things. And if you haven't noticed how excited I am to talk about all these different series and books, you guys, it was a great month of reading, and I was supposed to tone it back, but I just couldn't because all these things came up, and I need to work on saying no to a lot more things and figuring out where I'm going to spend my time reading the arcs that come my way. But friends, we are all in the process of figuring all that stuff out, and we need to systemize the things that we do so that we can make time for the things that we love. For me, that is reading, that is eating, that is food, that is friends, that is being here with all of you. So if you had some really great January reads that you want to add to my ever long TBR that I should not be adding more to because it adds itself anyway, or a Libby pops up, or whatever it might be, let me know in the comments. I always love hearing from you. And if you haven't checked out the author chats, go here. You have to check them out. Happy reading.